The sun was sinking low over the quiet banks of the river. The sky shimmered in gold and crimson, and the cool breeze carried the scent of wet earth. Acharya Chanakya, the great teacher of Takshashila, walked slowly along the water's edge, his mind calm yet sharp as the blade of wisdom. Beside him sat his disciple, the young and restless Chandragupta. He looked thoughtful, his eyes lost in the river's ripples. Sensing his turmoil, Chanakya smiled faintly. "What troubles you, my son?" he asked, his voice soft but steady. Chandragupta sighed. "Guruji," he said quietly, "sometimes I wonder if it is right to keep everything inside. It feels heavy here." He pressed his hand to his chest, as if I might feel lighter if I spoke my heart to someone. Chanakya's smile deepened, calm, knowing, yet tinged with compassion. "Ah, Chandragupta," he said, "that thought is the greatest deception of all. The world breaks most easily those whose hearts are too open and whose tongues are too loose. Speaking is easy. Silence is an art, and those who master that art become unshakable." He looked into the fading horizon and continued, "Today, I will tell you 7 truths, 7 secrets, that must remain hidden. No matter how close someone may seem, reveal them, and the world will use your own words to defeat you. Guard them, and life itself will protect you. Secret 1. Never reveal the troubles of your home. First, said Chanakya, never share the troubles of your home with outsiders. Whether it is a quarrel, a misunderstanding, or personal pain, keep it within the walls of your house. Once your cracks are shown to the world, people will not mend them. They will make them wider." He paused, watching the river flow. "Once, a student came to me in tears. He said his family had been fighting. His father shouted at his mother. His brother had left the home, and in his sorrow, he told his friends everything. Soon, the story spread, and people laughed at his family's misfortune. Compassion is rare, my son. Curiosity is common. People crave stories, not solutions." Chanakya's voice grew firm. "When a house's secrets leave its walls, its respect burns to ashes. The world does not pour balm on wounds. It sprinkles salt. So no matter how bad things get, protect your home's dignity. Some fires must be put out quietly. Secret 2. Never speak of your wealth. The second truth, said Chanakya, his tone now heavier, is never to speak of your earnings or your wealth. The more people know of your riches, the more you invite envy, greed, and danger." He told a story. Once, a king of Magadha proudly displayed his treasure before his court, halls filled with gold coins and precious jewels. Within weeks, neighboring kingdoms invaded, looting what he had flaunted. "Wealth, my son, is safest when unseen." Chanakya turned to Chandragupta. "Have you ever seen a truly rich man tell the world what he owns? No, because they know, where too many eyes fall, peace disappears. If people learn that you are prosperous, some will draw close pretending to help, some will plot to bring you down, and others will simply envy your fortune. Remember, the greatest guard of wealth is silence. Shout about it, and you will lose not only your gold, but also your peace. Secret 3. Keep your future plans hidden. Chanakya's eyes gleamed in the dimming light. And the third, he said, is this. Never reveal your plans before they are complete. A seed that is spoken of too soon will never bloom. He shared another tale. A merchant once dreamed of opening a grand spice shop. In his excitement, he told his friends, his relatives, his neighbors, everyone. But one cunning man heard his idea and opened the same kind of shop in the same place before him. When the merchant arrived, the market was already taken. He lost everything, not because of bad luck, but because of his loose tongue. Every idea is a seed, Chanakya said softly. If you expose it before it grows, someone will trample it or steal its fruit. Plans gain power in silence. Preparation time is not the time to speak. Speak only when the work is done. Until then, walk quietly, let success make the noise. The river whispered gently as twilight deepened. Chandragupta sat still, absorbing each word like sacred fire. He felt as though the world had suddenly grown clearer and quieter within him. Chanakya stood, his robes brushing the grass. Remember, my son, he said, Speech is silver, but silence is the diamond no thief can steal. As they walked back toward the monastery, the first stars flickered above, and Chandragupta knew this was only the beginning of 7 timeless lessons that would guard his heart for life. Asterisk night had fallen over Takshashila. The stars shimmered like scattered embers in the vast sky. The river that had witnessed the day's lessons now slept under the silver light of the moon. Within the quiet courtyard of the monastery, Acharya Chanakya and Chandragupta sat beside a small oil lamp, its flame swaying gently in the cool wind. Chanakya's eyes were sharp, his face calm, his voice low yet powerful enough to pierce through silence. Chandragupta, he began, the greatest enemies a man faces are not outside, but inside, his fears, his desires, his pride. And if the world ever learns where these enemies hide, they will strike at them first. Secret 4. Never reveal your weaknesses. Listen carefully, Chanakya said. The day you reveal your weakness to another person is the day you hand them the first weapon to defeat you. He leaned closer and continued in a deeper tone. In the Gurukul, long ago, there was a brave warrior, strong in body, fierce in battle. But he had one secret fear. He dreaded arrows. One night, he confided in his closest friend, believing him to be loyal. Months later, when war broke out, that very friend joined the enemy. And the first arrows that flew in battle were aimed straight at the warrior. He fell before he could even raise his sword. Chanakya paused, his voice steady as stone. Weakness is strength, but only when it remains hidden. The moment it becomes known, it becomes a weapon in someone else's hand. He turned toward Chandragupta, his eyes gleaming in the lamplight. A true king, he said, is one who hides his fear behind a smile and his wounds behind silence. Even in pain, he stands tall so that no one can see where to strike. Chandragupta's gaze dropped. But Guruji, he whispered, what if the person we tell truly cares for us? What if they understand? Chanakya smiled sadly. My son, people stay close only as long as your strength benefits them. When your weakness shows, they step back, or worse, strike from behind. The world does not pity the wounded. It watches them fall. He placed a hand on Chandragupta's shoulder. Carry your pain quietly, my child. The world is full of watchers, not healers. Let your silence be your armor, and your endurance your weapon. The young disciple nodded slowly. The lesson cut deep, deeper than any blade. Secret 5. Never boast about your charity. The flame flickered, and the shadows danced across the walls. Chanakya refilled the lamp and spoke again, his tone softer now, but his words just as sharp. The 5th secret, he said, is about the hand that gives. Never speak of your charity or your good deeds. True kindness has no need for witnesses. Chandragupta frowned slightly. But Guruji, he asked, is it wrong to tell others if we've helped someone? Doesn't it inspire others to do good? Chanakya shook his head gently. When a deed is spoken of, it stops being virtue and becomes vanity. What was once an act of compassion turns into a show of pride. He told a story, one that echoed through the still night. There was once a proud king who announced before his entire court, I have donated 100 cows to the Brahmins this year. The people applauded his generosity. But that very night, the king dreamt of an old sage who said, O king, what you gave reached no heaven, for you gave it with your tongue, not with your heart. He paused, letting the silence sink in like a mirror. Charity, Chanakya said, is sacred when it is secret. If your right hand gives, your left hand should not know. When the world knows of your giving, it is no longer service. It is self-display. He looked into Chandragupta's eyes. Remember this, the light of true goodness shines brightest when unseen. Like a lamp in the dark, even if no one witnesses its flame, its glow still touches the heavens. The young disciple sat still for a long time. The words didn't just fill his ears, they echoed inside his heart. For the first time, he realized that power was not in showing strength, but in concealing it wisely. That goodness wasn't proven by applause, but by quiet, selfless action. As the night deepened, Chanakya rose to leave. The lamp still burned, steady and bright. Chandragupta, he said gently, The world will always test your silence, but never let it steal it from you. Strength, wisdom, virtue, they grow in silence and die in noise. The teacher walked away into the shadows, his figure fading like a dream, leaving behind only the soft sound of the river and the glow of an eternal lesson. Dawn crept over the horizon, washing the ancient land of Takshashila in shades of amber and rose. Birds stirred in the banyan trees. The first chants from the monastery drifted through the air, a hymn of awakening. Chandragupta stood beside the same river where the previous evening's lessons had begun. The water glimmered softly, like a mirror to his growing thoughts. Behind him, the sound of slow footsteps approached, but it was Acharya Chanakya, his saffron robes swaying lightly with the breeze. His eyes carried both the calm of the river and the fire of wisdom. "Guruji," Chandragupta said, bowing, "your words last night still echo within me. I now understand that silence is not weakness, it is protection." Chanakya smiled. "Indeed, my son. And yet there are two more truths you must hold close, for they guard not just your reputation, but your peace of mind." He sat upon a smooth stone near the water and gestured for Chandragupta to join him. The morning sun reflected on the surface, breaking into 1,000 golden shards. Secret 6. Never speak of your humiliation or defeat. Chandragupta, Chanakya began, his tone deep and deliberate. Every man faces defeat in life, in battle, in friendship, in love. But the wise man never announces it to the world. He picked up a small pebble and tossed it into the river. When you speak of your fall, you don't lighten your pain. You deepen it. The world is full of listeners, not healers. Some will offer sympathy, but most will take pleasure in your downfall. And when you rise again, they will still remember your fall, not your strength. He looked directly into Chandragupta's eyes. There was once a warrior who was betrayed in battle. He wandered from village to village, crying, "I was deceived. I was wronged." Some pitied him, most mocked him. And when he finally returned to fight again, people whispered, "This is the man who failed." Before the first arrow flew, he was already defeated by his own tongue. Chanakya's words cut through the morning stillness like a blade. If you have been insulted, let the insult teach you, not define you. Do not repeat it to others. Rise from it quietly. Turn humiliation into strength. Let the world see your comeback, not your complaint. He paused and added softly, "The world believes in the strong, not in those who retell their sorrows. So when you fall, tell no one, except yourself. Whisper, 'I will rise again,' and then do it silently." Chandragupta felt the truth burn within him. He had often shared his failures, hoping for comfort. Now he understood. Every time he spoke of his pain, he gave it new life. Secret 7. Never reveal your inner emotions. Chanakya's gaze drifted to the rising sun. "The seventh and final secret," he said, "is the hardest of all. Never lay bare your emotions. Your anger, your attachment, your pain. Guard them like treasure." He drew a line in the sand with a twig. A man's heart is his fortress. Once its gates are open to everyone, the enemy doesn't need to break in. He simply walks through. He continued, "When you show your anger, people know how to provoke you. When you reveal your affection, they know how to manipulate you. And when you expose your pain, they know where to strike. The world does not measure your feelings. It measures your weakness." Chandragupta's brow furrowed. "But Guruji," he said softly, "are we not human? Should we never express how we feel?" Chanakya smiled, not with coldness, but with understanding. "Emotions are not your enemy, my son. They are your fire. But fire belongs in the hearth, not in your hands. Feel deeply, but express wisely. Burn within, but shine calmly on the outside." He turned toward the river. A king must be like the sun, blazing within, yet gentle in appearance. The strongest man is not the one who never feels, but the one who feels everything and still remains unmoved on the surface. Then, in a quiet voice, Chanakya said, "Speak your heart only to those who are selfless, pure and loyal. If such souls exist in your life, to everyone else, offer only your calmness and your smile. Remember, The more mysterious you are, the harder you are to break. The river flowed on, timeless, tireless, reflecting both sky and truth. Chandragupta sat in silence, his heart heavy yet peaceful. The 7 secrets now glowed within him like sacred flames. Chanakya rose slowly, dusting the sand from his robes. "These 7 truths," he said, "are not just lessons, they are armor. Wrap yourself in them, and the world can never destroy you." Chandragupta bowed deeply. "Guruji," he whispered, "I understand now. Wisdom is not in speaking, but in knowing what must remain unspoken." Chanakya smiled. "Well said, my son. Words can win wars, but silence can win the world." As they walked back toward the monastery, the morning light grew stronger. Behind them, the river carried their reflections away. 2 figures, one teaching, one learning, both walking toward a destiny shaped by silence. Days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of Takshashila flowed as gracefully as the river beside it. The lessons of Chanakya were no longer just words. They had become part of Chandragupta's very breath. Each dawn, he woke before sunrise, sat in quiet meditation, and remembered his teacher's 7 golden truths. Never reveal your home's troubles. Never expose your wealth. Never announce your plans. Never show your weaknesses. Never boast of your charity. Never retell your defeats. Never reveal your emotions. They had begun as rules, but now they were mirrors, reflecting the path of true strength. One evening, after months of study and silence, Chandragupta found himself once again beside the same riverbank where it had all begun. The air was cool and fragrant with jasmine. The setting sun painted the sky with strokes of fire and gold. Chanakya sat quietly on a rock, gazing into the distance. His expression was calm, but his eyes carried the quiet power of a storm long mastered. "Guruji," Chandragupta said, bowing respectfully, "you have given me more than knowledge. You've given me a shield for life. But tell me one thing. If silence protects us so much, will it not make us lonely?" Chanakya looked at him for a long moment before answering. "My son, loneliness comes from depending on others to understand you. Peace comes when you understand yourself." He smiled faintly as the wind stirred the folds of his robe. "Silence does not isolate you. It elevates you. When you stop seeking validation, you begin to hear the voice of truth inside you. That voice, your inner voice, is the only companion who never betrays." Chandragupta listened in awe. He had spent so long trying to be understood, and now he realized that true wisdom was not about being understood, but about understanding. Chanakya continued, "Remember this. Chandragupta, the wise do not speak to be heard. They speak to bring change. And sometimes, the greatest change is born not from words, but from stillness." He picked up a fallen leaf and let it drift into the river. "Look at this leaf. It says nothing, yet the river carries it all the way to the sea. The world rewards noise, but respects silence. The loud seek attention, the silent command it." As the last light of day faded, Chandragupta spoke again, softly. "Guruji, you once told me that a man who masters silence becomes unshakable. Do you think I am ready?" Chanakya looked at his disciple, now no longer a boy, but a young man with calm eyes and steady breath. "You are ready, my son," he said. "But remember, silence is not escape. It is mastery. Speak when it is time to heal, to build, to guide, not when it is time to boast, to react, or to complain." He rose slowly, his silhouette glowing against the crimson sky. "When you lead your people, lead with calmness, not with noise. Let your strength be seen in your actions, not your words. And when the world provokes you, smile, for those who cannot disturb your peace can never defeat you." The air grew still. Only the river's gentle murmur filled the space between teacher and disciple. Chandragupta bowed deeply, his forehead touching the earth. "Guruji," he whispered, "I will carry your teachings not as rules, but as armor. I will guard my words, my heart, and my silence as the treasures they are." Chanakya placed his hand upon his student's head. "And may that armor make you a king, not just of a kingdom, but of yourself." The old teacher turned and walked away, his figure merging into the twilight. Chandragupta remained kneeling by the river. Watching the ripples dissolve into the horizon, the first stars appeared, silent, patient, eternal. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Some speak to be remembered, but I will remain silent to be understood." And from that day forward, the young prince lived by his master's timeless law, to guard his words, to master his emotions, and to walk through the world clothed not in noise, but in the unbreakable armor of wisdom.